5 of Build the Lancaster Bomber. We're going to be building the pilot seat and controls. Next we take the pilot seat platform that we did from a previous issue. Then we take these parts. These are labelled as 05J, 5K, 5H and 5M. So if you just study the picture on their locations, so you have this lever, and this lever will only got, if you look at the tab, it's got a flat edge and a slightly rounded, and if you look at the position of it, it's the flat edge and slightly rounded. So if I put that in, so it goes that way, the orientation, and then I will cyano in from the rear. Right, that piece is placed in the hole. Then I'm just going to put a little bit of cyano on the rear to hold it in place. Next we take part 050 and 05L, and one will go into this position here, then the other one will go into this position here. So these are the two parts. That's the bigger of the two, and the smaller one, which is, notice it's got a flat edge. I'm going to just clean the flat edge up slightly because it's a little bit tight in the hole there. Once I get in, then I will just glue from the rear. Same for this one, is that it's a little bit tight, so I'm just going to sand it down slightly until it fits, and then glue in from the rear. Okay, this piece is in, fits in quite nicely once it's been sanded, and then I will just put a little bit of cyano on the rear. Okay, then this will go into this position. There, and then we'll just glue it in. Next we get the seat support frame. Notice the orientation with these uprights to the rear, and they will then go into the holes which have got slightly raised bits around the four holes. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got a slightly raised bit, and they just push in, and then I'm just going to glue then from the rear. So I'll just make sure that they are pushed all the way in. Right, and then I'm just going to put a bit of cyano in the rear for those. Next we'll do the rudder and aileron trim. So it's these parts in this plastic bag. So it's one part, and that is the other part. So we'll push those together. You can see on this piece here, it's got a like a D-shaped hole. So it's got a flat edge, slightly rounded. Same on there. So that will go in there and just push in. I'm not going to bother gluing it. You could hear how well it went together, pretty tight. Is now glued into the correct position. I just put a bit of cyano at the rear. Right, next we take part 05D. If you notice, it's got a bigger peg and a smaller peg, and they will fit, or this will fit in there's the bigger hole, there's the little hole, so it would fit that way round. So look how it needs to be adjusted slightly. So we'll hold it underneath the platform. Yeah, it's a little bit tight, so I'm just gonna clean out the hole slightly and then try again. I widen the hole slightly just to get this fitted in a little bit. It was a little bit tight that it then just dropped in. And I'm just going to put a little bit of cyano on the rear just to hold it in place. Right, on to the next part. Next, take one of the transverse tubes. This tube will go from the inside of this part to the inside of part 05C. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, before I put this, stick this into here and then try and get it into this part when I glue it in, I'm just going to check that it actually will fit. But I think I just need to take a little bit off it so it's a good fit and not tight, not too tight, because we don't really want to break it. So I'm just going to take a little bit off this, a little bit of the paint, and hopefully it will fit in. So that's better fit. And then I'll do exactly the same for this side here before I glue it in, because this is a little bit tight as well. Now that we've just taken a bit of the paint off here, it fits nicely into that, and also into the section, this piece here, so it won't get it broken when we're trying to stick it all together. Before I stick this in, I'm just going to clean this up as well. I can see there's a little bit of flash at the end, but I'm just going to take a bit of the paint off so the fit is not as tight. So firstly, I'm going to take 05C. So I've just put it in its location. I haven't pushed it all the way in, but I've put it in slightly, and it's slightly out at an angle. This will allow me then to put this transverse tube in. So I'm just going to pop it into this side first, and then I'm going to coax it into, sweet, right, let's just start again with that. So I'm just going to put it in this side first, then I'm just going to coax it into the hole on the other side. There we are. And I'm just going to move this edge across and into its correct location. So I'm just going to rotate this into its right orientation. So I'm not going to glue it yet until I actually put the other transverse tube from this hole to this hole, and then I'll cyano this up correctly, and then that should hold that. I don't need to glue this transverse tube in, I don't think. Seems okay. So we'll do that next. So this is the other tube. So then that will go with the bends up that way. So that way round. That will go into there, and the other one will go into the other hole. Might have to slightly take a bit of paint off to get it to fit in. So see how, yeah, they're a little bit tight. So I'm just gonna take a bit of paint off these bits here, there, then try again. I'm just taking the paint off, and there's a slight seam I'm taking off as well. Not cutting any of the plastic. So with the tube facing with the bend upwards. That's better. So fit it in. Alright, that's correct. And then I'll just put a bit of cyano on the rear there to hold it all together. So a little bit of cyano. Just make sure it's vertical. Coming out at the correct angle before it dries. So we just it's looking got a vertical and it's coming out horizontally that, and we'll do the same for the shorter one. I've just put a little bit of cyano on this, just put it into the top one, and I'm just orientating it so it's coming out horizontally and then falling down vertically. So quite happy with that. We take parts 05I and 05H. Then they go into the positions there, which is the smaller hole, and then you've got one that goes into the bigger hole. So you have this lever, which is the bigger of the two, goes into there, and then the smaller one to there. They can only fit one way round because you've got a D-shaped or flat end and slightly round, but there. So we'll just pop those in and then we'll glue from the rear. I'll take the smaller of the two. There's different tweezers. There's the flat edge. Flat edge there. So that's gone in. And then we'll take the big one, put it in there and glue it in. That one glued in, so I'll just put it into position and put a little bit of cyano, so we'll get the bigger one. See the flat end. Flat end goes this way around. Push it in. And then we'll glue it in the rear. I think you've got to be careful when you're going back and forth, is that you've got to be careful that you don't snag these pipes and break them. So you see that. Just move that one slightly. That's something to be mindful of. I haven't broke it, but yeah. Now I'll just put a bit of cyano in the rear. Right. Before I start gluing the side pieces and that onto the seats, I'm just going to try and fit them or dry fit him onto here. I can see he's a little bit tight, so I'm going to work on these first until I can get the seat sitting correctly. I don't want to actually just manhandle it by, you know, putting all the stuff on there and then twisting it and stuff like that. It might get broken, so at least I've got more to hold on to while I'm just adjusting. I probably just have to take a little bit of the paint where you can see it's been slightly oversprayed on these bits just to get it to sit down. So I can see it goes down okay on this side, but I don't know if you can see on there it has a couple of ridges of paint on the edges. So I'm gonna take those off. When I'm happy with the fit, then I'll build up the seats. A little bit of sanding of the uprights for them to go on both sides just to clean it up, and the seat now fits on nicely. So now I can actually start building the rest of the seat up and without actually breaking stuff when I'm putting it together. With the seat, I've glued this piece in. Before I put this piece in, I've just had to clean it up at the rear and on the top a bit, just to take as a little bit of overspray. So I've taken that off. Make sure this is fitting quite flush down, and then I've just put a bit of cyano on and glued it into place. So next we'll put the support brackets from this position here down to here, from there down to there, and then we'll do the armrests. Next we take the armoured head supports. One will go into this hole here and to the back of the armoured head support, and there's another one that goes onto the other side. So I'm going to put it into this one first, then glue it into another one onto there, and then glued to the rear. So that's the first one glued in to the chair. I'm just going to wait till that to go off slightly, and then I will put it into the holes at the top and then glue. Right, that piece is complete. So I've put the two support brackets on either side. So I've glued here first, then put it to the rear, glued there, then popped it around to the rear. Then next we take the two armrests. As you can see, it's got a little lug on there, and the lug there's a hole on this side and another hole for this side. And with the armrests, obviously with this little thin bit is facing downwards, so then we'll just glue these on either side. Super glue. So that's one in. And then we'll do the second one. Just check that they're both level. Right, I'm happy with that. So that's that stage complete. Then we place the seat onto the frame. I'm not going to glue it in at the moment. I'm just going to sit it on top because it's quite a tightish fit. Yeah, and I'll put that aside until we need it next. Issue 6, the next set of parts: cockpit, turtle deck, instrument panel, control columns, rudder, pedals, whip aerials, control units, yoke and compass, throttle levers and other items.